Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with the Arduous mod. Today I was able to get my hands on the MBT 70, the MBT 70, and then you've got the KPT 70. The KPC 70 is the German version of the MBT 70. They're the exact same machine. So we're going to go over the stats of this tank. And it does carry a 152mm launcher. Pretty good gun. Sustained damage per minute, 3,932 damage per minute. This is with a stock crew. Alright, there's no retrofits, everything's stock, and that's nearly 4,000 damage per minute. That is incredible. 780 damage, average damage per minute. Average damage per shot, sorry, not per minute. Defense, 2,708 points. I mean, that is pretty high. It's just shy of the XM1 that we did a couple of videos ago. So we got 350mm of frontal spaced steel hull armor, 100mm of side steel armor, and 28 at the rear. The turret has 325mm of frontal space steel armor, 295mm of side space steel armor, and at the rear of the tank it's got sort of like a blowout panel, kinda, but it has no. It's a bit weird with the MBT. The MBT is it is a pretty maneuverable tank. It does accelerate quicker than the XM1. I think that's because it's got a more powerful engine. 1,100 versus 1,000. So it is 400 horsepower less, but it does get access to dynamic suspension. Dynamic suspension is two suspension modes with different settings of acceleration, traverse speed, spotting range, camouflage factor, and accuracy decay rate. Automatically adjusts clearance to increase gun elevation and depression angles. So, let me think. What tank can depress its gun automatically? Just like the, I can't remember the name of the tank, but there is a tank that has a similar feature. Basically, this gun already gets 10 degrees gun depression. When the suspension reacts, you get 14 degrees of gun depression and 22.5 degrees gun elevation. This is fantastic, because then you can pop over a ridge and you can punish your enemies. So, mobility wise, 65 km an hour max speed forwards, 4.6 seconds to get up to 32 km an hour. That is not bad. It does weigh 50 tons. Well, nearly 50.5 tons. So yeah, it's pretty heavy girl. Not as heavy as the XM1, but it is pretty heavy. And it does have a better hull traverse. Now, the utility, 10% camouflage. That is the same as the XM1, but it does have 15 less meters. I think it's 15, or was it 25? 25 less meters of view range. So let's move on to targeting, and as you can see, 10 degrees gun depression and 19.5 degrees of gun elevation, and then when the suspension kicks in, 14 degrees of gun depression, 22.5 degrees of gun elevation. The accuracy is not that good, 0.17. The aim time, again, not that good, 2.9. The turret traverse is pretty good at 42 degrees a second. So you need to kind of aim with this thing. And we are actually going to put on increased rate of fire. So if we stick that on, that should boost our to 4,100 damage per minute. So why don't we take this lumbering beast of a tank out and play. So let's select this and see if we get into battle. There you go. So we are carrying APFSDS, 42 rounds with 450mm a pen, 1,385 meters a second, and that's pretty good. And we are top tier. This is fantastic for this tank. This tank is an absolute monster at top tier because it has pretty good turret armor and it has spaced armor. So spaced armor does work better than normal steel armor. So let's just see how well it does, really. And if you, some of you guys are wanting to ask, how did I get this tank back? I got it through a ticket through the Armoured Warfare website. All you have to do is press support, go down to in-game products or something like that, and it will say I have a different problem, and you click on that and then submit a ticket and then say you sold a tank or something like that, and it will give that tank back. Make sure you have the credits because it will punish you. Now, I think this is a new feature
you're going up against the Alliance of
for the
Nequio here.
MBT.
We've received intel that the area may be littered with SAM sites. If that's the case, our jets are in trouble.
There you go, that's what I want to see.
Identify target. They hit us hard. Smoke out! Move! Black Company, change of plans. Our plane's been hit and we need the intel from their hard drive about the Alliance. Find the plane, get the intel, and see if there are any survivors. Target destroyed.
We did take a humongous hit from that swing fire. Don't want to take another hit, otherwise we are finished. One hell of a big hit into it. We're not going to repair our tank just yet, but we are quite maneuverable. Pop out. Shot, 700 damage. So this is like, it is like the Sheridan, but the Sheridan can carry high explosive, and when you pair with the high explosive with the Sheridan, it really hurts.
Protect the plane. We've accessed the hard drive remotely, but need time to download the intel. We're trapped!
No wall tank.
Success! Moving out!
Raise our tank back up. And then we're gonna try our hardest to get out of it. Want to be really careful going over here because we could get caught in crossfire. Go over here.
Identify target. Hostile tank.
And then one lieutenant.
Careful in there. That's Alliance of Nequio town. So proceed with extreme caution. There's no telling what they might do.
800 damage, that's what I want to see. You can pet me. No, I can't. Ooh. Our reload is a little bit sluggish.
Intel was right. That's got to be one of the SAM sites targeting our plane. Take them all out.
Ah, we just clipped the top of that hill right there. Perfect shot right to him. Now if we can push up here. Come on. There There you go. We actually destroyed his gun breech, so he's not going to be able to fire
Good
for
work. You've cleared the skies for us.
seconds. If we pop over here.
Track ahead.
Oh. Whoa, don't do that.
Reloading.
Back up. Don't know how much damage we're up to. 5,000 damage. It's pretty good with the MBT.
We're hit. Target destroyed.
Ooh,
Get
repair
out
tank.
now.
Put back up. That is probably the M1 Lieutenant.
Ammo up.
Very dangerous.
Reloading.
Put a shot to experimental tank or experimental
Identify target.
tank.
Hostile tank.
That's an M1 Lieutenant. I'm gonna put a shot to. Not sure if that hit him. Don't know what that hit. Again. Don't know where that went. We are lagging behind the damage dealt. There you go, that's what we want to see. That's a 4,000 hit point Lieutenant right there. Where is he? Be careful of that BMP. Come on, that's it.
Reloading.
Got him. Just took a shot.
Up. Target down.
Yeah, he's dead. And this tank is very good at hold down because it's got a curved turret, unlike the M1 Abrams that has a fairly boxed turret.
Ammo up.
Damn it, the house assault my shell.
Target destroyed.
He's dead. We're still on 2,007 hit points. We did burn our repair kit because we took a humongous amount of damage at the start of the match. And that is something you don't want to happen.
Intel's been
There
downloaded.
you go.
Thanks, Black
So
Company.
we did
You have
win
no idea
that.
how important it is to stop the Alliance.
Fantastic. The MBT with this new hydraulic system really does come into play because now not only are you a tank that has 10 degrees gun depression, but you now can be an extremely dangerous threat on the battlefield. And I think this video will probably make people think twice about the MBT before picking a fight with it, because if you're in like an M1 Abrams has 10 degrees gun depression, so if you come over the hill and you can't quite hit him, even though you can't quite hit him, he can smack you in the face for a humongous amount of damage. If he's using his ATGM that, you know, only has 450mm pen, but if he pens, that's 1,000 damage already. That's a lot of damage. And the thing is that the MBT-70, if I'm correct, uses the exact same gun as the Sheriff. Not the exact same gun, because they are different guns. I mean, this is a 152mm M81, while the MBT uses 152mm XM150E5. So they are different guns, but they are the same caliber guns. And to be honest, this gun kicks ass. It really does. Comparing it to the Sheridan, if I were actually to, add to compare, and then add the MBT to compare, the Sheridan does have slightly better DPM. It has slightly less damage per minute, slightly less damage per shot. My apologies. It has far better camouflage. Max speed is better. Acceleration rate is slightly worse. It weighs less. Has slightly worse hold traverse. Less hit points. I mean, overall, the MBT is probably the better, better choice. Even though it has a 152mm that does not have high explosive, you are going to do a lot of damage if you pen. If you don't pen, you're just going to piss off the enemy. But if you do pen, then you are going to give them a really hard time. So, let's have a look. Put that on. Gunner. Max spread is improved by 5. Put that on. That should at least 0.16. So accuracy is better now. So let's have a look. So overall, the MBT-70 is, when I first got the MBT-70, because it was my third premium tank that I got. When I first got the MBT-70, it didn't have the dynamic suspension. It didn't have the overpowered reload time. I mean, you could get this reload down to 13 seconds because it used to have a base reload of 15 seconds. Its damage per minute was lacking. The alpha damage was higher at 830. Penetration was higher as well. I think it's about like 490 millimeters. The defense was different. Instead of it being space armor, it was just space steel. It was just steel when I first got this tank. So it does definitely feel like it's a lot more competitive, and it can give you a hard time. On your team, this thing, just sit behind it and let it just soak up the damage while you pick them off. But if you're fighting against this thing, well, let's have a look at the armor viewer. If you're fighting against this thing, your best bet is to probably shoot here at this pair, and if you can't see that, then shoot here. If you can't see that, maybe have a go at shooting this. But there are a couple of weak spots that you can actually hit. But this tank is definitely one of those tanks that you want to keep an eye on, because it will ruin your day. I mean, the heat is completely nutty and ineffective against this, and even the ATGM is completely nutty and ineffective. And this thing is, it is pretty blooming good actually. It's a good machine, and I like it. I like it a lot, and I hope that you guys, when you guys get it, I hope that you like it a lot. Put in the comment section what you think about this tank, because I like it. If you don't like it, tell me why, and if you do like it, tell me why. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Put in the comment section what you think about the tank, obviously, like I just said. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.